Hello everyone, my name is the Ultimate Spy, and welcome to another episode of Reviewed number 167. And today, I'm going to be reviewing Disney Pixar's Ratatouille. So what did I think of Ratatouille? Well, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was actually a really wonderful movie. Since Pixar makes some really good animated film, this was a really amazing movie, Amazing voice acting, the animation was really good, and the lighting was great. Oh my god, they really know how to light their films, especially animated films. And this movie, it did come out 12 years ago, but it's still a great movie in terms of the story. The story is really wonderful. The voice acting is amazing anyway because of how many familiar voice actors there were. Like, apparently there was Ian Holm at one point, which I knew he was in the movie because I looked it up before I watched the movie, but I didn't know who he was voicing. And then I looked at the main chef, like the guy who later gets thrown out of the restaurant, and apparently, it's Ian Holm voicing that character with a French accent. Now, you really have to think about him as Bilbo to really understand where that voice is coming from. You have to really understand it. That's why I didn't know that was him until I really thought about it. It's really one of those things where you really have to think about what does he sound like and if there's some accent going with it. And it was just him doing a French accent for his character of the main chef. I can't remember his name exactly, but the main chef guy, the short guy. And yeah, he did a great job, and everyone did a really good job. I thought that Linguni was voiced by David Schwimmer, but it's not the same guy. They sound similar, but they're not. But yeah, Remy was voiced by Patton Oswalt, who actually appeared a couple times in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is a fantastic show, by the way. It's probably one of my favorite characters of that show. And actually, he has a similar voice to Bill Hader, actually. A very similar voice. Not the same voice, but similar. And I really thought the voice acting was really good because they have professional voice actors when they do these films. And I'm doing this movie now because I don't know, I just haven't gotten to it yet. A lot of these movies are really old, I just haven't gotten to them yet. I want to do a review of them. And so yeah, I really did enjoy the film. It had a lot of good points about it. There's not a whole lot that I had issues with, really. I mean, there were things that I found was a little odd. Like, for one thing, I thought that it was strange how the old lady in the beginning of the movie, when she found the rats, starting with Remy, of course, and his brother Emile, that she kept firing her gun at everything, basically destroying her house, essentially, basically blowing up her house. Not really, but more or less, kind of just destroying a lot of things, the furniture, the kitchen, and just and then she ends up blowing up the ceiling. It's she must be really desperate to get killed rats if she's willing to blow up her house. I mean, seriously, destroy parts of her house. That's insane. And what's really strange is the fact that she, after Remy and everyone else got out of the house, the old lady kept firing at the rats. She really wants the rats dead or something. I don't know what the deal is. And obviously the gas mask was probably for the gunpowder because the gun can have powder and that can make someone really sick or something like that. But at the same time, I didn't understand why she kept going. She must have been really desperate to actually get rid of the rats. I mean, seriously. I mean, yeah. In this story, humans hate rats. Everyone hates rats at one point in their life. But the story is that the rest of the movie are the main characters. That's kind of the idea. Remy's the main character of the story. That's who he is. And now in this film, past films at Pixar Animation, there have been many Easter eggs that hint at future films and sometimes past films, depending on the situation. So, for example, the first one happened where Remy was climbing up the confines of the restaurant, and he ends up squished along the floor, but then for a brief amount of time you see a shadow of a dog who is exactly the same shape as Doug from Up. Now, this is mainly just a Easter egg for their upcoming films because Pixar likes to tease their upcoming films with nods or references or some kind of thing that kind of show you what's coming. And Dog from Up is one of them, which was obviously the next film after this one. But also, there was another Easter egg for a past film, which was The Incredibles, where Linguini was trying to figure out where to put Remy because he had no idea where to put him. And he looks into his pants, and he has, I think they're boxers, they're basically Incredibles boxers, like the Incredibles logo all over them, and it's like, it's an Easter egg for The Incredibles, obviously, which is really cool, like a past film they worked on. But there was also another Easter egg, in my opinion, it was an Easter egg for a moment in The Incredibles. So when Remy is frustrated after Linguini puts Remy on hiatus from being the chef, whatever, when Remy gets really frustrated and picks up a wine bottle, and it's the exact same kind of motion, I guess, that Bob does in The Incredibles, where he gets really frustrated about what's going on and picks up the family car, and I don't know, it's pretty much the same exact scene. Not mirrored, but like it has the same kind of idea. I don't know, it just looked like the same scene, so that was really cool. Now, I really like the relationship between Colette, this beautiful, short, purple-haired French woman, and Linguini, who is American. I mean, it's interesting how it's set in Paris, but not everyone is French. I mean, most of the people are French. Like, about 90% of the people are French, but, like, there's a couple of characters who aren't. Like, the villain of the story, the food critic, Ego, he is British, obviously. And then you have Linguini, who is an American. It's really interesting because everyone else is French. It's set in Paris, which is very interesting. But, yeah, I really like the relationship dynamic between those characters because at first it's awkward because he's a very awkward guy. And then once he gets the job, like a promotion more, like he goes from garbage boy to being a chef, basically making something because even though he was a garbage boy, he accidentally made a dish for a customer and they wanted more, and so he needed to do it again, essentially, and he had Colette's help. And throughout the movie, you can kind of tell he has a thing for her, and then later on in the movie, she confesses that she actually liked him. Surprisingly, actually, they ended up together by an accidental kiss. Like, it was an accidental kiss because Linguini was trying to show Remy to Colette. Remy stopped him and it ended up going into a kiss, and it was like the most surprising thing ever, at least for me. I mean, I hadn't seen this movie in a while, so I didn't actually expect it was going to happen. But yeah, they kissed, and obviously Colette had the same feelings for him, and then they ended up together. It was like a very strange romance. It was just, it's cute, and I liked that a lot. It was a very interesting thing because, well, mainly because Colette is the only French woman in the restaurant. Like, she's the only female chef there, which is very interesting. I think at the time people didn't think that women could cook, basically. It was a really surprising move for the story, but it was still really interesting. I liked that. It was a great relationship, and they really did a good job with setting that up and really making it go somewhere, which is really good. Like I mentioned before, Ego, who is the British food critic, basically the villain of the movie, although the main chef guy, he's kind of like a sub-villain. He's just kind of like the one who doesn't really want Linguni to be a chef because he doesn't think he can do anything because obviously Linguni can't cook without Remy, obviously. And so he kind of feels like a side villain. So I mean, it's not really a villain, but he's just kind of like, he just isn't pleasant to work with. And so, since Ego is the main villain of the story, like he's the nasty food critic who hadn't reviewed Gustau's in a long time, like years, and mainly because he didn't like what they were serving at the time. And so Linguini, Colette, and the rats have all like come together to make Ratatouille again, like for the first time since the child. So he eats it, and it's like this amazing thing where he remembers eating it as a child. I think that was what happened exactly. It was a really amazing scene, and I think it really made the story a lot more interesting, so I liked it a lot. And it really did impress him because he didn't really trust Gustau because he didn't really think they were as good as they were back then. Because apparently they became popular, so he was like, oh, I'll give it a try, give me your best shot kind of thing. It's like, yeah, they totally impressed him. So, and then obviously towards the movie he comes back really, he's really impressed with the restaurant because before he didn't think the restaurant was good enough. Now he does, which is amazing. Honestly, it's amazing. And like I mentioned before about how everyone's working together to make Ratatouille, it's amazing to see this whole scene where Remy's family all like works together to make the Ratatouille. Not just Ratatouille, but like just in general meals. Basically the menu for the evening, which is a very amazing idea. Just seeing all these rats work together to make things happen, it was truly amazing because Remy really took the mantle of being a boss and being a real leader, because he wasn't much of a leader in the beginning, except maybe for finding what's good and what's bad. And he did a great job at really commanding everyone, making sure everything got done, which makes Remy a very interesting and fun character. And like I said earlier in this review, I love the concept of having Linguini basically being a puppet for Remy because Remy's the real cook. And it was just really cool to see him, like, play with his hair. Apparently using hair strands bundled up and everything can make Linguni do whatever he wants. Because he can't cook and Remy can. It was just it was amazing that they were able to do that. Kind of like the idea of just making him work because he didn't know how to cook. Remy knew how to cook, and it was just like not really teamwork, just like, because Remy was basically teaching him how to do it. It wasn't really like forcing him like a puppet. I mean, it was a puppet, but like at the same time, he was teaching him. He was like, showing where his hand should go to grab certain ingredients, which is very cool. I just love that, especially when he's doing it at home and just like it starts out a bit sloppy because a lot of the film there's a lot of humor in it, a lot of great humor, but obviously as time goes on, he gets a lot better at knowing what to do because he wants to be a chef. To begin with, he doesn't think it's talent, but Remy comes along and fixes everything, so that was amazing. And last but not least, the final thing I want to say about this movie was my favorite line. Now, my favorite line would definitely have to be when Remy encounters Emile. It's the first time in a long time, mainly because they were separated. And he asks Emile what he's eating. And he's like, I don't really know. It's like, why would you eat it if you don't know what it is? You must like it even if it doesn't know what it is. It was just a very funny line. And overall, I just love this movie just because of how humorous it was and how crazy it was, and just it was great. I love this movie. Everything about it is amazing. So that's really all I'm going to say about Ratatouille. It's a fun movie. Pixar makes some really great films, and this was a really great movie. I really did enjoy it a lot. It had a great soundtrack, especially having the first Pixar film set in France. I think it was. I don't exactly know, but it had a really good story, really good concept around it, and really interesting characters. Very very well written story, and just in general, it was a very great film. So yeah, that's really all I'm going to say about Ratatouille. I'm going to give this movie a 10 out of 10. Perfect score. I had no real issues with it. It didn't have any issues with it. It was a great story, really well made. I had a very good time watching this. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Reviewed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. I really do appreciate it. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe for more episodes of this series and of the series that I do, as well as the great content. Also make sure to click that bell to enable alerts to my uploads, and all of that makes sense with another